In this very moment, nothing needs to be fixed, nothing needs to be improved, nothing needs to become anything else. There may be a quiet tiredness inside, a part of you that has been holding too much for too long, and another part, gentle and untouched, waiting to be felt again. Welcome to Whispers of Moonlight, a space for meditation and mindfulness. Here, we are not trying to overcome ourselves. We are learning to pause, to stop resisting, to stop chasing, and to return to what is already here, breathing, changing, alive. What if this moment is already enough to begin? What if, beneath the noise, there is something steady, something that does not come and go? In this practice, you may rediscover rest in the body, clarity in the mind, and a quiet freedom beyond grasping. So allow yourself to lie down, not to escape life, but to meet it more deeply. And if you feel connected, leave a comment with your time and place. Wherever you are, we meet here now. As the body begins to settle, the mind also starts to soften. There is nothing you need to control, nothing you need to push away. Simply notice what is here. A sensation, a feeling, a quiet movement inside. Let it be as it is. You may begin to feel small areas that are still holding tension. A tightness in the jaw, a heaviness in the chest, a subtle restlessness somewhere in the body. There is no need to change them. Just bring a gentle awareness there, like placing a soft light on that area. Awareness itself is already a form of care. It does not force. It does not judge. It simply allows. As you rest here, you may notice that sensations are not fixed. They shift, they move, they fade and return in different ways. What feels heavy may slowly become lighter. What feels sharp may soften into something more diffuse. Everything is in motion, even when it seems still. This is the nature of experience. Nothing stays the same. Not the body, not the breath, not even the feelings that seem so solid. You are not required to hold on to any of it. And you are not required to get rid of any of it. Just rest as the one who knows. Notice how the body breathes on its own. The chest rises slightly. The belly expands and releases. There is a quiet rhythm, steady and natural. You are not making this happen. It is already happening. In the same way, sensations arise without asking for permission. Thoughts appear without invitation. Emotions come and go, like weather passing through the sky. See if you can rest in this understanding. There is no need to become the experience. There is no need to identify with what is passing through. A sensation is just a sensation. A thought is just a thought. An emotion is just an emotion. They are not you. They do not define you. Like clouds moving across a vast sky, they appear and disappear. And the sky itself is never harmed by the clouds. In the same way, there is something in you that remains open, spacious, and untouched. Even when discomfort is present, even when the mind feels busy, you can begin to trust this space. Let the body continue to rest. Let gravity hold you. Let the surface beneath you support every part of your weight. There is nothing you need to carry right now, nothing you need to solve. If the mind begins to wander, gently notice it. No need to bring it back forcefully. Just recognize and allow it to return on its own. Each moment of noticing is already enough. You may begin to sense a quiet gap between you and what you feel. A small space, a gentle distance, not a separation, but a freedom. In this space, sensations can come and go more easily. In this space, thoughts lose their grip. In this space, emotions are no longer overwhelming. This is not something you create. It is something you recognize. It has always been here. Rest a little deeper now, Let the breath be natural. Let the body be exactly as it is. If there is comfort, allow it. If there is discomfort, allow that too. Everything is welcome. Notice how allowing changes the quality of experience. Without resistance, tension softens. Without grasping, ease begins to unfold. This is the gentle path, not forcing, not avoiding, just being with what is. As you continue, you may sense a quiet kindness arising, a soft friendliness toward your own body, toward your own experience. This kindness does not need words. It is felt as a warmth, a quiet acceptance. Even the parts that feel difficult are included. Nothing is left out. You are not here to perfect yourself. You are here to meet yourself. And in this meeting, something begins to heal. Not because you fixed anything, but because you stopped turning away. Let that understanding settle gently, the body resting, the breath moving, awareness quietly knowing. No effort, no struggle, just this. As you stay with the breath, a quiet stability begins to form. Nothing dramatic, nothing forced, just a gentle sense of being here. The breath continues on its own, rising, falling, arriving, leaving. You may notice that each breath is slightly different. Some are deeper, some are softer, some feel almost invisible. There is no need to make them consistent. Let them be as they are. This natural movement is enough. As attention rests on the breath, the mind may still wander. A thought may appear. A memory may come. A plan may begin to form. This is natural. This is part of the mind's habit. When you notice it, gently return, not with force, not with frustration, just a soft return, back to the rising, back to the falling. Each return is not a mistake. It is the practice itself. In this way, the breath becomes an anchor. not something to hold tightly, but something to rest with. You begin to see that the present moment is always available, not somewhere else, not later, right here. The breath is always happening now. There is no story in the breath, no identity, no past to carry, no future to reach. Just a simple movement. As you continue, you may notice a subtle quietness. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of struggle. The mind may still think, but the thoughts feel lighter, less solid. They come and go, like echoes fading in a large space. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to stop them. Let them pass as the breath continues. In this gentle observation, something becomes clearer. Experience is always changing. A breath begins, then ends. Another begins, then ends. No breath stays. No moment repeats. This is the quiet truth of impermanence. Not something to understand with words, but something to feel directly. Each inhale appears, then disappears. Each exhale appears, then disappears. Nothing is held. And yet, there is continuity, a flow, a seamless unfolding. As you notice this, the need to control begins to soften. There is nothing to hold on to, and nothing that needs to be held. You may also notice that the breath is not owned. It is not your breath in the way the mind usually believes. It is simply happening, just like the wind moves, just like the tide rises and falls. There is no separate doer behind it. Breathing is taking place. In seeing this, a quiet understanding begins to open. What you call self is also a flow, a changing process. Sensations, thoughts, feelings, all moving, all shifting, all appearing and disappearing, nothing fixed. The breath makes this visible, moment by moment. You do not need to analyze it, just keep noticing. The simplicity of this is enough. If the breath becomes subtle, allow it. If it becomes more noticeable, allow that too. There is no better way for it to be. Stay with the natural rhythm. As the breath rises, there is a beginning. As it falls, there is an ending. Between them, a quiet space. You may begin to sense this space more clearly. Not something you create, but something that is already there. A gap, a pause, a stillness. Rest there for a moment if it appears. Not holding it, not extending it, just noticing. Then the next breath comes, and the cycle continues. In this continuous flow, you may feel a gentle release, a soft letting go. Not because you are trying to let go, but because there is nothing to cling to. Each breath leaves on its own, without effort. In the same way, experiences leave. If you do not grasp them, they pass naturally. This is a different way of being. Not controlling life, but allowing life, breath by breath. As you rest here, the present moment becomes more vivid. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, steady clarity. You are here, breathing, aware. Nothing extra is needed. If there is calm, notice calm. If there is restlessness, notice restlessness. Both are part of the same flow. Neither defines you. The breath continues, always moving, always changing. And you remain as the knowing of it. Not separate from it, but not confined to it either. Just aware. Let this awareness be simple. No need to deepen it. No need to maintain it. It is already present. The breath is simply a doorway a gentle way back, again and again, until returning no longer feels like returning, only like being. As you are no longer pulled into every feeling, a quiet space begins to open. Not something you create, but something you notice. In this space, emotions can arise without taking over. Thoughts can appear without becoming commands. There is a gentle distance, not cold, not disconnected, but free. You can feel a sadness and still remain steady. You can notice tension and still remain at ease. This is not indifference. This is understanding. Understanding that what arises is not permanent. Understanding that what arises is not who you are. A feeling comes, stays for a while, then fades. Another takes its place, then also fades. Like clouds changing shape in the sky. Never fixed, never lasting. If you look closely, you may see that even the most intense feeling is made of smaller movements, pulses, sensations, shifts in energy. Nothing solid, nothing unchanging. What once felt overwhelming becomes a series of passing waves. And when you do not resist, these waves move more freely. They rise, they crest, they dissolve. There is no need to push them away, and no need to hold them close. Just let them move. In this allowing, something softens inside. The struggle begins to fade. You are no longer fighting the experience. You are no longer trying to escape it. You are simply aware of it. And awareness does not suffer in the same way the mind does. Awareness sees. Awareness allows. Awareness remains open. Even when discomfort is present, there is still this open knowing. See if you can rest in that. Let sensations come and go within this open space. Let thoughts appear and disappear within this open space. Nothing needs to be excluded. Everything is included. Yet nothing defines you. You may begin to notice that the sense of I becomes lighter, less solid, less fixed. Instead of I am anxious, there is simply anxiety being known. Instead of I am in pain, there is simply pain being felt. A subtle shift, but a profound one. The experience is still there, but the weight of identification is gone. And without that weight, there is more freedom. Freedom to feel without being trapped. Freedom to experience without being overwhelmed. This is the quiet wisdom of non-identification, not pushing away suffering, but not becoming it. You may also notice that when you do not identify, the experience changes more quickly. It does not get stuck. It does not repeat in the same way. Because it is not being held in place, it is allowed to complete its natural cycle, arising, existing, passing. This is the nature of all conditioned things. Nothing remains. And in seeing this directly, not as an idea, but as a lived experience, something begins to loosen. The need to control, the need to fix, the need to define, all begin to soften. You do not have to carry every thought. You do not have to solve every feeling. You can simply let them pass, like leaves floating down a stream, like clouds drifting across the sky, always moving, always changing, and you remain as the open space in which all of this happens, not separate, but not confined either, just aware. As you rest here, you may feel a quiet sense of relief, a lightness, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer holding everything so tightly. This is a different kind of ease, an ease that does not depend on conditions, an ease that comes from understanding that suffering is part of experience, but it is not the whole of experience. It is a wave within a vast ocean, and you are not limited to the wave. You are the openness that allows the wave to be. Stay with this gently. No need to grasp it. No need to repeat it. Just feel it. Let the body remain relaxed. Let the breath move naturally. And let awareness continue to open, wider, softer, more inclusive. Nothing needs to be pushed out. Nothing needs to be pulled in. Everything is already appearing and disappearing on its own. And you are here, quietly knowing. As these gentle qualities begin to grow, a quiet strength starts to form within you. Not a forceful strength, not something rigid, but a soft stability. A sense that you can remain present even when things are not easy. You may begin to notice a subtle warmth spreading through the body. A feeling of being held from within. Safety does not come from controlling everything. It begins to arise when you stop fighting what is here. Let that sense of safety deepen. Even if it feels small, it is enough. With each breath, allow it to expand slightly, like a small light slowly brightening. You may also notice a natural relaxation. The body no longer needs to stay alert in the same way. The mind no longer needs to defend or resist. This relaxation is not something you force. It comes when the pressure is released. Stay with it. Gratitude may begin to appear quietly. Not as a thought, but as a feeling. A simple appreciation for being here. For breathing. For resting. You do not need to search for reasons. Gratitude can exist without explanation. It is a natural response when the mind is no longer crowded. Let it be gentle. Let it be simple. Alongside this, a sense of kindness may arise, a softness toward your own experience. Even the parts that feel uncomfortable are included. Nothing is rejected. This is how the inner garden becomes balanced, not by removing everything that feels difficult, but by allowing what is wholesome to grow stronger. As these qualities deepen, they begin to support you, like roots growing beneath the surface. You may not always see them clearly, but they are there, holding you steady. When a difficult feeling appears, it no longer stands alone. It is surrounded by awareness, by calm, by understanding. And because of that, it loses its power to overwhelm. This is not because the difficulty disappears, but because it is no longer the only thing present. There is space around it. In that space, the mind becomes more flexible, less reactive, more open. You begin to respond instead of react. Instead of being pulled into every wave, you can remain grounded. This is how resilience grows. Not by hardening, but by softening in the right way. As you continue, notice how these qualities arise naturally when you give them attention. Attention is like nourishment. Where it goes, energy flows. If attention is constantly pulled toward worry, worry grows. If attention rests with calm, calm grows. This is a simple but powerful truth. You do not need to force change. You only need to understand where you are placing your attention and gently guide it again and again back to what is supportive, back to what is steady. This is the quiet practice of cultivation. Not adding something new, but uncovering what is already there. These qualities have always been within you, waiting, patient. Now they are being invited to the surface. And as they grow, they begin to shape your experience. Not in a dramatic way, but in a steady, reliable way. You may feel less urgency, less pressure, more space between thoughts, more ease in the body. Even when something difficult arises, it is held within a larger field of awareness. It is no longer the center. This changes everything. You are no longer defined by what is passing through. You are supported by what is growing within. And this support does not depend on external conditions. It comes from understanding, from practice, from gentle consistency. Let yourself rest in this growing field. No need to rush it. No need to measure it. Growth in this space is quiet, almost invisible at times, but real. Like seeds beneath the soil, slowly becoming roots, Trust this process. Each moment of awareness is a drop of water. Each moment of kindness is a ray of sunlight. Together, they are enough. As you continue to breathe, feel the subtle presence of these qualities: calm, warmth, openness. Let them spread naturally, not pushed, not controlled, just allowed. And in this allowing, something begins to stabilize. A quiet confidence, not based on certainty, but based on presence. You begin to see that you can meet experience as it is, without being overwhelmed, without turning away. This is a different kind of strength, one that does not resist life, but moves with it. And as these inner qualities continue to grow, they become a refuge, a place you can return to again and again, no matter what arises. As you begin to feel the body more fully, a quiet appreciation deepens. Not something you think about, but something you feel directly. This body has carried you through every moment of your life, through ease and through difficulty, through times of clarity and times of confusion. And it has done so quietly, without asking for recognition. Bring your attention gently to the feet. Feel their presence. Even at rest, they hold a memory of movement, a memory of standing, walking, balancing. You may begin to sense a quiet gratitude there, not forced, not exaggerated, just a simple acknowledgement. Then allow your attention to move slowly upward, through the legs, the hips, the lower back. These areas have supported your weight, your posture, your effort. Even when tired, they continue. There may be sensations here: tightness, warmth, heaviness. Let all of it be included. Gratitude does not require perfection. It includes what is uncomfortable as well. Continue to the abdomen, soft, moving with the breath. This area rises and falls without your command, supporting digestion, supporting life in ways you rarely notice. Rest your awareness here for a few breaths, then gently move to the chest. Feel the subtle expansion, the gentle release. The heart continues to beat, moment after moment, without pause, without demand. You do not have to remind it. It simply continues. Let that be felt. Move to the shoulders, often carrying more than they need to. If there is tension, notice it. Not as a problem, but as a signal, a sign of effort, a sign of holding. Allow a soft awareness to rest there. No need to force release. Just being aware begins to soften the grip. Let the attention flow down through the arms, into the hands. These hands have touched the world, held, created, supported, expressed. Even now, resting, they are still part of the living system. Feel the subtle sensations in the palms, the fingers, perhaps a faint pulsing, a quiet aliveness. Then bring your awareness to the neck and the face. The muscles around the eyes, the jaw. So much expression passes through here. So much effort, often unnoticed. Allow these areas to soften. Not by force, but by permission. Let the face be natural. As you rest with the whole body now, sense it as one connected field. Not separate parts, but a continuous flow. Breath moving through. Sensation appearing and fading. Everything working together like an ecosystem, balanced, responsive, alive. There is no single part that exists on its own. Each supports the other. Each depends on the other. In this way, the body reflects a deeper truth. There is no isolated self within it. No fixed center that controls everything. Only processes, only interactions, only continuous change. This can be felt directly. A sensation appears in one place, then fades. Another appears elsewhere. Nothing stays. And yet, there is a sense of continuity, a flow of life moving through the whole system. Stay with this gently. There is no need to analyze. No need to understand conceptually. Just feel. Feel the body breathing. Feel the quiet aliveness in every part. Even in stillness, there is movement. Even in silence, there is activity. This is the nature of life, always changing, always unfolding. You may begin to notice a deeper sense of peace arising, not because everything is perfect, but because you are fully here with what is. Nothing is being rejected. Nothing is being forced. This kind of presence brings a different quality of calm. A calm that does not depend on conditions. Even if there is discomfort somewhere in the body, it is held within a larger field of awareness. It is no longer the whole story, just a part, and the whole remains open. As you continue, let gratitude expand beyond specific parts. Let it include the entire body. Not as an idea, but as a feeling. A quiet appreciation for being alive, for breathing, for sensing, for being aware. This does not require anything extraordinary. Just this moment. Just this breath. Just this body as it is. And in recognizing this, something softens even more. The need to take things for granted begins to fade. A simple presence becomes enough. Stay here for a few more breaths. Let the body rest. Let awareness remain open. And let this quiet gratitude continue naturally, without effort. As you stay with this area, something very subtle begins to shift. Not because you are trying to change it, but because it is no longer being ignored. The body responds to attention. The mind responds to presence. What was once tight may begin to soften. What felt intense may begin to spread out, becoming less concentrated. You do not need to measure this. You do not need to expect anything. Just continue to be there. If the sensation changes, notice the change. If it stays the same, notice that too. Both are part of the same process. Everything that arises is already moving. Even pain is not fixed. It may pulse. It may shift in location. It may grow, then fade. Look closely, and you will see movement within it. This is the nature of all sensations. They are not solid. They are not permanent. They appear as patterns of feeling. Then they transform. When you stop resisting, you begin to see this more clearly. Resistance tends to make things feel stronger, more fixed, more personal. But when resistance softens, the experience becomes more fluid. There is more space around it. Stay with that space. You are not trying to remove the discomfort. You are allowing it to be held within awareness. And awareness is wide enough to include everything. If emotions arise along with the physical sensation, include them as well. A feeling of frustration, a sense of fear, a quiet sadness. Let them be there, just like the physical sensation. Nothing needs to be separated. Everything can be held together in this gentle presence. Like holding a child who is crying, you are not trying to stop the crying immediately. You are offering safety. You are offering warmth. and slowly the child begins to feel it. In the same way, the body and mind begin to respond to this kind of care. Not instantly, but gradually. There is a softening, a settling. You may notice that the intensity begins to decrease, or that your relationship to it changes. Even if the sensation is still there, it no longer feels overwhelming, because you are no longer resisting it, and you are no longer alone with it. There is awareness, steady and present. This changes the experience completely. Pain without resistance is different from pain with resistance. One is tight and confined. The other is open and moving. See if you can feel that difference. There may also be a sense of compassion arising, a natural kindness toward the part of you that is hurting, not as an idea, but as a felt response. This is the energy of care. It does not come from effort. It arises when you truly see what is happening. When you stop turning away. Stay with this gently. No need to do more. No need to go deeper. Just continue to be present. Breath moving. Sensation changing. Awareness holding it all. If at any moment it feels too intense, you can widen your attention. Include the breath again. Include the whole body. Let the difficult area be part of a larger field, not isolated, not alone. Everything is connected within this field of awareness. Nothing exists separately. This understanding begins to soften the sense of isolation that often comes with pain. It is no longer my pain in the same way. It is simply a sensation arising within a larger whole. This shift may feel very subtle, but it is powerful. It loosens the sense of self around the experience. And when that loosens, suffering begins to ease. not because the sensation disappears immediately, but because the identification with it fades. There is less me holding on to it, just sensation unfolding. Stay with this unfolding, moment by moment. Let it reveal its changing nature. Let it show you that it cannot stay the same. Even discomfort follows this law. It arises. It stays for a time. It passes again and again. Trust this rhythm, not as a belief, but as something you are directly observing. The more you observe, the clearer it becomes. Nothing you experience is fixed, and nothing you experience defines you. Let the body continue to rest. Let the breath remain natural. And let this gentle presence continue to hold whatever arises, without force, without judgment, without resistance, just here. As grasping softens, a very gentle sense of freedom begins to reveal itself. Not something dramatic, not something distant, just a quiet lightness. There is less tension in trying to hold on, less effort in trying to keep things the same. You may begin to notice how much energy was used before, trying to preserve a feeling, trying to avoid another. Now, without that effort, there is more ease. The breath continues to change, each inhale different from the last, each exhale leaving completely. Nothing is repeated, nothing is stored, and yet there is no loss. Life continues without needing to hold anything in place. See if you can feel that directly. A breath comes, a breath goes, no trace remains. In the same way, sensations move through the body, appearing, shifting, fading. What was once strong becomes subtle. What was once subtle may become clear. All of it is in motion. This movement is not a problem. It is the nature of experience. When this is seen clearly, something relaxes deeply. The need to control begins to dissolve. You do not need to stop change. You do not need to secure anything, because nothing was ever stable to begin with. This understanding is not heavy. It is freeing. It allows you to rest with what is happening, without fear of losing it, without pressure to keep it. there may be a quiet sense of trust arising. Trust in the flow. Trust in the unfolding. Even when something uncomfortable appears, you may notice it is already changing. It does not stay in one place. It does not remain at one intensity. It moves, just like everything else. If you do not interfere, it completes its cycle naturally, arising, expressing, passing. This is the rhythm of all experiences. Nothing escapes it. You may begin to see that suffering is often linked to holding on to what is pleasant, resisting what is unpleasant. Both create tension. But when holding softens, there is less friction. Experience flows more freely. And in that flow, there is less struggle. This does not mean life becomes perfect. It means your relationship to life changes. You are no longer trying to freeze what cannot be frozen. You are no longer trying to avoid what cannot be avoided. You are simply present with what is moving, like watching a river flow. The water does not need your help. It does not need your direction. It moves according to its nature. And you can simply sit by the river, observing, not controlling, not interfering, just aware. In this way, awareness becomes steady, not because it stops change, but because it is not disturbed by change. Change continues, but the struggle around it fades. This is where a deeper peace begins to emerge. Not the peace of having everything fixed, but the peace of no longer needing things to be fixed. It is a quiet acceptance, not resignation, but clarity. Clarity that everything is temporary. Every sensation, every thought, every emotion. Even this moment will pass. And knowing this, you do not need to cling to it. You can let it unfold. You can let it be exactly as it is. This does not take away the beauty of experience. In fact, it makes it more vivid, because you see it clearly, without distortion. Each breath becomes precious, not because you hold it, but because you see its fleeting nature. Each sensation becomes alive, not because it lasts, but because it changes. This is a different kind of appreciation. not based on possession, but based on presence. Stay with this gently. Let the breath continue. Let the body rest. Let awareness remain open. Notice the constant movement. Notice how nothing stays the same, even for a moment. And notice that this is not something to fear. It is simply how life unfolds. Without this movement, there would be no growth, no change, no renewal. Everything would be stuck. But life is not like that. It is fluid, dynamic, ever-changing. And you are part of this flow, not separate from it. There is no fixed self standing outside of change. What you call self is also changing. Body changing, mind changing, experience changing. All part of the same movement. When this is seen, the sense of a solid, separate identity begins to soften. There is less need to defend, less need to protect, because there is nothing fixed to protect, only a flow to be experienced. This can feel very light, very open. A sense of not being confined, not being locked into a fixed position. Just part of the unfolding. Stay here for a few more breaths. Let everything move as it moves. Let awareness simply know. No need to interfere. No need to guide. Just knowing. And in this simple knowing, without grasping, without resistance, a quiet freedom continues to deepen. Now, there is nothing you need to do, no method to follow, no direction to maintain. Just this simple knowing. Awareness is already here, quiet, open. Let everything be included in it. Sounds may appear, sensations may arise, thoughts may come and go. Nothing needs to be pushed away, nothing needs to be held. All of it can exist within this open space. There is no center you need to return to, no point you need to stabilize. just openness, like a vast sky without edges, without boundaries. Everything appears within it and disappears within it. The sky does not hold the clouds. It does not resist them. It simply allows them to pass. In the same way, awareness does not need to manage experience. It does not need to organize or control. It simply knows. Let yourself rest as this knowing. No need to name anything. No need to describe anything. Just a quiet presence. If the mind tries to do something, gently notice it, and let that too be part of the space. Nothing is outside of this. Even effort can be seen. Even the desire to do it right can be seen. And when it is seen, it softens. Everything softens here, because nothing is being held tightly. You may begin to sense a deep ease, not because something special has happened, but because nothing is being resisted. This ease does not depend on conditions. Even if there is noise, even if there is discomfort, the openness remains. The knowing remains. There is no need to improve this moment. It is already complete in itself. Stay here gently. Awareness knowing experience. Experience unfolding within awareness. No separation, and yet no entanglement. Just a natural flow. If a thought appears, it is known. If it disappears, that is also known. No need to follow. No need to stop. If a sensation arises in the body, it is known. If it changes, that too is known. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be removed. This is a very simple way of being, but also very profound, because it is free from effort, free from grasping, free from the need to become something else. As you rest here, you may notice that the sense of I becomes less defined, less solid. There is knowing, but no clear owner of the knowing. There is experience, but no fixed center controlling it. Everything is happening naturally, effortlessly. This is not something to think about, just something to notice. The absence of a fixed center. The absence of something that needs to hold everything together. And yet, everything is already held within awareness. This can feel very light, very open, almost as if the weight of holding an identity is no longer needed. Nothing to defend, nothing to maintain, just presence. Stay with this for a few breaths. No need to deepen it. No need to sustain it. It is already here. Even if attention moves, this openness is still present. Even if thoughts return, this space is not lost. It does not come and go in the same way experiences do. It is always here, quietly allowing. Rest in that recognition. Gently, without effort. And now, as this hour comes to a close, let this understanding settle softly. There is nothing you need to change in your life right now. Nothing you need to fix. Life will continue to move. Situations will continue to change. Feelings will continue to arise and pass. But something may have been seen, that everything comes and goes. That nothing stays long enough to be held, and that there is no fixed self behind it all that needs to control or protect. This can bring a quiet relief. You do not need to carry everything. You do not need to hold everything together. Just this moment is enough. This breath, this body resting, this awareness knowing. Nothing extra is required. Nothing is missing. And in this simplicity, there is a gentle completeness A sense that just for now, everything is already okay. Stay with that feeling. Soft, open, unforced. Let the breath continue naturally. Let the body remain at ease. And let awareness rest just as it is. As the body becomes still, the breath begins to reveal itself more clearly. Not because you are looking for it, but because there is less noise around it. Let your attention rest gently on the breath. No effort, no control. Feel the breath as it enters. A soft expansion, a quiet movement. Feel the breath as it leaves. A gentle release. A natural letting go. There is nothing you need to adjust. The body already knows how to breathe. You are not here to improve the breath. You are here to notice it. As you stay with this, the breath may feel like a slow wave, rising, falling, appearing, disappearing. Each breath is slightly different. No two are the same. Some are deeper, some are lighter. All are part of the same flow. Let them come as they come. Let them go as they go. There is no need to make them even. No need to make them calm. Calm arises when nothing is forced. As attention rests on the breath, the mind may still move. Thoughts may appear. Images may come and go. This is natural. When you notice it, gently return. Not pushing the thought away, not following it, just returning. Again and again. Each return is a moment of awareness. Each return is a moment of presence. There is no failure here, only noticing. As you continue, you may begin to feel a quiet rhythm. The body breathing, the mind settling. not perfectly still, but softer, less scattered, more grounded. You may notice that the breath does not belong to you in the way you once believed. It is happening on its own, even when you are not paying attention, even when you are asleep. Breathing continues. Life continues. This can be felt directly. There is no need for a controller behind it. Just movement. Just process. This begins to show something deeper. What you call self is not as solid as it seems. The breath moves without a fixed owner. Sensations arise without a fixed center. Thoughts appear without a clear source. Everything is happening, changing, flowing. Stay with this gently. Let the breath continue as it is. No need to understand fully. Just allow the experience to unfold. You may begin to notice small pauses between breaths. A brief stillness. Not something to hold on to. Just something to notice. Inhale. Then a quiet moment. Exhale. Then another quiet moment. These spaces are natural. They are not created. They appear on their own. Rest in them lightly when they are there. And when they are not, rest with the breath again. Nothing needs to be extended. Nothing needs to be held. Everything is moving in its own rhythm. As you continue, a gentle ease may begin to spread. Not because something has changed outside, but because you are no longer interfering inside. The body is allowed to be. The breath is allowed to be. The mind is allowed to be. This allowance brings a different kind of peace. A peace that does not depend on perfect conditions. Even if there is a sound, it is included. Even if there is a thought, it is included. Nothing needs to be excluded. Everything is part of this moment. And this moment is enough. Stay with the breath. Let it guide you, not by direction, but by presence. Each inhale brings you here. Each exhale lets go of what is not needed. Not as an effort, but as a natural process. You may begin to feel that there is nothing missing. This simple act of breathing, noticed clearly, is complete. No need to add anything. No need to reach for anything. Just this, breathing, knowing. If the mind drifts again, gently notice and return. No judgment, no impatience. Just returning. Again and again, until returning becomes natural. Until being here feels simple. The breath continues, always changing, always new. And you remain as the quiet knowing of it. Not holding, not resisting, just aware. As you remain with the breath, something subtle begins to reveal itself. Not something you need to search for, but something that becomes clear when you stay. The body continues to breathe. The breath continues to move. And within that movement, there are many small changes. A slight shift in the chest. A soft expansion in the belly. A gentle release on the exhale. Each moment is different. Even when it feels the same, it is not the same. This is how life moves, quietly changing, moment by moment. Stay close to this. Let your attention rest lightly on the breath, not holding it, not following every detail, just knowing it is here. As you stay, you may begin to notice the mind more clearly. Thoughts appear, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly. A word, an image, a memory. They come without being called. And if you look closely, they also leave on their own. No thought stays. Even the ones that seem strong begin to fade. They change. They dissolve, just like the breath. This is important to see, not as an idea, but as a direct experience. Everything is moving. Nothing is fixed. The breath shows this clearly. Each inhale begins, then ends. Each exhale begins, then ends. Nothing remains, and yet there is no sense of loss. The next breath comes naturally. Life continues without needing to hold anything in place. You do not need to keep the previous breath. You do not need to prepare the next one. It simply happens. In the same way, thoughts arise and pass. Feelings arise and pass. You do not need to control them for life to continue. Let this understanding settle gently. There is less to manage than the mind believes, less to fix, less to hold together. As you stay with the breath, you may notice a quiet space around each experience. A sense that there is room. Room for the breath. Room for thoughts. Room for sensations. Nothing is crowded. Nothing is forced. Everything has space to appear and disappear. Rest in that space. You do not need to create it. It is already there when you are not clinging. If a thought pulls your attention away, notice it kindly. No judgment, no frustration, just a gentle recognition. And then, like a leaf settling on water, return to the breath, softly, without effort. Each return strengthens this quiet awareness, not as a skill to achieve, but as a natural capacity being remembered. You are learning to stay with what is simple, to stay with what is real. The breath is always here. Even when forgotten, it continues. Even when ignored, it supports life. There is something very steady in that, very reliable. You can trust the breath, not as something to hold, but as something that is always available. Each inhale brings you into the present. Each exhale releases what is no longer needed. Not as an action you perform, but as a process already happening. You may begin to feel a gentle rhythm, a sense of continuity, the breath moving, awareness knowing, together, no separation. And within this, a deeper insight begins to unfold. There is no fixed breather behind the breath. Breathing is simply happening, just as thinking is happening, just as feeling is happening. Processes, not possessions. Movements, not identities. This can be felt directly, without needing to analyze, just by staying with the breath. You may notice that the sense of control begins to soften. You do not need to make the breath happen. You do not need to make the mind quiet. Things are already moving according to their nature. Your role is not to control. It is to know, to be aware, to be present. And in this presence, something begins to relax deeply. The effort to manage everything starts to fade. The need to be somewhere else begins to dissolve. There is only this moment, this breath, this quiet awareness. Stay here gently. No need to go further. No need to go deeper. Just continue to notice. The breath coming in, the breath going out. Always changing, always new. And you here. Not holding it, not resisting it, just aware. As you are no longer carried away by each wave, a quiet space begins to open within you. Not something distant, not something new, but something that has always been here. In this space, emotions can rise without taking over. They can be felt fully without becoming overwhelming. You may notice a feeling of anxiety, a tightening in the chest, a quickening in the breath. Instead of pushing it away, simply notice it. Let it be a wave moving through the ocean. See how it rises. See how it changes shape. See how it begins to fade. No wave can remain at its peak. It must return. This is the nature of all emotions. They build, they crest, they dissolve. Even the strongest wave cannot stay. When you do not resist, this movement becomes clearer. The emotion is no longer fixed. It becomes fluid, a series of changing sensations. What once felt like a solid block begins to reveal its parts. A pulsing, a warmth, a shifting pressure, all moving, all changing. And within this movement, you remain, not as the wave, but as the ocean that allows it. The ocean does not fear the wave. It does not try to stop it. It simply holds it. In the same way, you can hold your experience, gently, without force. There is no need to remove what is here. There is only a need to see it clearly. And when it is seen clearly, something softens. The sense of being trapped begins to loosen. You are no longer inside the emotion in the same way. You are aware of it. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. From I am anxious to anxiety is present. From I am afraid to fear is arising. The experience remains, but the identification fades. And with that, the weight begins to lift. There is more space, more room to breathe, more room to feel without being overwhelmed. Stay with this gently. Let the waves come and go. No need to predict them, no need to control them. Just observe. Wave after wave, each one unique, each one temporary. You may also begin to notice that between waves there is calm, a quiet surface. Even if brief, it is there. Rest in that calm when it appears, not holding it, not trying to make it last, just noticing. Then the next wave comes, and that too is part of the ocean. Nothing is outside of this. Joy can arise, then fade. Sadness can arise, then fade. Excitement, then stillness. All part of the same movement. No emotion defines you. They are visitors, temporary, passing through. And you are the space that allows them. The more you see this, the less you need to react. Not because you are suppressing anything, but because you understand the nature of what is happening. There is nothing to hold on to. Nothing to fight against. Just movement. Just change. This understanding brings a quiet freedom. You are no longer caught in every rise and fall. You can remain steady, even as the waves move. Not rigid, but grounded. Not distant, but clear. This is not detachment in a cold sense. It is a warm, open awareness. Fully present, fully alive, but not entangled. Stay here for a few breaths. Let the body remain relaxed. Let the breath move naturally. Let emotions come and go, and remain as the ocean. Wide, open, unconfined. And as this becomes more familiar, you may begin to notice something else. When you are not consumed by emotion, there is energy available. Energy that was once used to resist or react. Now it is free. Free to support something else. Free to nourish something deeper. And in that freedom, you can begin to gently turn toward what is steady. toward what is calm, toward what is already whole within you. As the garden begins to receive this gentle care, something quiet starts to change. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way, but steadily. A small sense of ease appears, a soft openness, a subtle warmth. You may not even notice it at first, but it is there, like the first green shoot breaking through the soil. It does not need to be strong. It only needs to be alive. Stay with this gently. Each breath continues to water the garden. Each moment of awareness continues to bring light. You are not forcing growth. You are creating the conditions for growth. And life responds to conditions. If there is dryness, it is met with care. If there is heaviness, it is met with space. Nothing is rejected. Even the areas that feel empty or neglected are included. These parts do not need to be fixed. They need to be seen. And in being seen, they begin to soften. You may begin to feel a quiet appreciation for what is already here. Not something you have created, but something that has always been present. A simple ability to be aware. A simple ability to feel. This is already enough. As the garden becomes more alive, you may notice a shift in how you relate to your experience. Less urgency. Less pressure. More patience. You are no longer trying to force things to grow faster. You trust the natural pace. Growth takes time. And this time is not a problem. It is part of the process. You may also begin to see that not every seed needs attention at once. Some areas need more care. Some can be left as they are. There is a quiet wisdom in knowing where to place your attention and where to simply allow. Attention becomes intentional, not scattered, not reactive, but steady. You may feel a gentle balance forming between effort and ease, between doing and allowing. This balance is not something you calculate. It emerges naturally when you are present. As you continue, notice how certain qualities begin to grow. A sense of calm, a feeling of stability, a quiet kindness toward yourself. These are not imposed. They arise because the conditions support them. In the same way that a plant grows toward light, the mind begins to move toward what is nourishing. Not because it is told to, but because it is natural. Stay with this movement. Let it unfold. If a difficult thought appears, it is like a weed. You do not need to fight it aggressively. You simply notice it and gently bring attention back to what you wish to grow. Over time, what is not nourished begins to fade. Not because you forced it out, but because it is no longer fed. This is a quiet way of transformation. Subtle, consistent, deep. You are not replacing yourself with something new. You are uncovering what was already there. A capacity for calm. A capacity for clarity. A capacity for care. These are not foreign. They belong to the nature of the mind. They have simply been covered. Now they are being revealed. As the garden becomes more balanced, you may feel less pulled by extremes, less caught in cycles of tension and release. more steady, more grounded. This does not mean that difficulty disappears. It means that it no longer dominates the whole space. There is more room now, more light, more possibility. You may begin to feel that what you already have is enough. Not because everything is perfect, but because you can see clearly. You can feel directly. You can be present. This is a quiet form of richness, not based on accumulation, but based on awareness. Stay here for a few more breaths. Let the garden continue to grow. Not through effort, but through presence. Let each breath be a drop of water. Let each moment of attention be light. And trust that this is enough. Growth is already happening. Even if it is not visible yet. Even if it feels small. It is real. And as this continues, you may begin to feel a deeper sense of connection, not just within yourself, but with life itself. The same process that grows a garden is present everywhere. Change, nourishment, transformation. You are part of this, not separate from it. And in seeing this, something softens even more. The sense of isolation begins to fade. You are not alone in your experience. You are part of a living process, always moving, always changing, and always capable of renewal. Stay with that gently. No need to hold it. No need to define it. Just let it be felt. And let the garden continue to breathe quietly within you. And as this is seen more clearly, a quiet sense of trust begins to return. Not a belief, but a direct feeling. The body is already caring for you, moment by moment. The heart continues to beat. The lungs continue to breathe. The cells continue their silent work, all without effort from you. Let your attention move gently through the body again, not searching, not fixing, just listening. There may be areas that feel open, easy, light. And there may be areas that feel tight, heavy, unsettled. Both are part of the same living system. Nothing needs to be rejected. If you notice a place of discomfort, pause there. Not to analyze it, not to change it, but to feel it gently, as if you are meeting it for the first time. There may be tension in the shoulders, a dull ache in the back, a pressure in the chest. Let your awareness rest there, softly, without pushing, without pulling, just allowing contact. You may notice that the sensation is not fixed. It shifts, it moves, it changes shape. What felt solid begins to reveal itself as movement. Small pulses, subtle vibrations, always changing. Stay with this gently, and from the parts of the body that feel at ease, let a sense of warmth spread. Not something you force, but something you allow. As if the body itself is sending care to where it is needed. A quiet support, a natural intelligence. You do not need to direct it precisely. Just allow the feeling of ease to be present, and let it touch the areas that feel less at ease. Like warm sunlight reaching a shaded place. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is demanded. Just a gentle meeting. In this way, the body begins to feel more connected. Not divided into parts, but experienced as a whole. A living field of sensations, all changing, all interacting. You may begin to notice that even discomfort is not separate from this field. It belongs. It is part of the same process of life. When it is allowed, it softens. Not always immediately, but gradually, because it is no longer resisted. Resistance creates contraction. Allowing creates space. And in space, things can move. Things can change. Stay with this sense of allowing, the body breathing, the heart beating, sensations appearing and dissolving, all happening within awareness. No need to interfere. No need to improve. Just noticing. As you continue, a deeper appreciation may begin to arise. Not forced, not created, but discovered. A quiet gratitude for the body, for its constant support, for its quiet work, for its resilience, even when tired, even when strained. It continues, it adapts, it responds. You may begin to feel that this body is not something separate from life. It is life expressing itself, a living process, not a fixed object, changing from moment to moment. Cells renewing, breath flowing, energy moving. There is no solid boundary where life stops and the body begins. They are the same movement. And within this movement, there is no fixed owner. The body is not something you possess in the way you once thought. It is something you are part of, something you participate in, a process unfolding. This can be felt directly, without needing to think about it, just by staying present. As this understanding deepens, the need to control begins to soften. You do not need to hold the body together. It is already held. You do not need to force it to function. It is already functioning. There is a quiet relief in this, a sense that you can rest more deeply, because not everything depends on you. Life is supporting life, and you are included in that support. Stay with this feeling for a few breaths. Let it settle. Let the body be exactly as it is. Let awareness rest gently within it. No separation, just a living experience. Breathing, sensing, changing. And as you remain here, listening, feeling, allowing, the body may begin to reveal more. Not through effort, but through attention. And in this quiet listening, something deeper becomes possible. A reconnection. A sense that nothing within you needs to be ignored. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Everything can be met. Gently, patiently. And this meeting is already a form of care. Stay with that gentle attention, like a soft light that does not demand anything. It does not need to fix. It does not need to understand. It simply stays. You may begin to notice the sensation more clearly. At first, it may feel like one solid block. Dense, unmoving. But as you remain, something subtle begins to shift. There are small changes, a pulsing, a warmth, a slight movement. What once felt fixed begins to reveal its changing nature. This is important to see. Not through thinking, but through direct experience. Even discomfort is not stable. It moves. It changes. It transforms. Stay with it gently. Let the warm light of attention continue to rest there. Not pressing, not pulling away, just present. If the mind wants to leave, notice that too. The urge to escape, the habit of avoiding. Gently acknowledge it, and then return, softly, again and again. There is no force here, only a quiet willingness to be with what is. As you continue, you may notice that the relationship to the sensation begins to change. It may still be there, but it feels different, less threatening, less overwhelming, because it is no longer being resisted. Resistance creates tension. Attention creates space. And in that space, something begins to ease. Not because the sensation disappears immediately, but because it is no longer surrounded by struggle. There is just the sensation and the awareness that knows it. Nothing extra is added. Stay with this simplicity, sensation, awareness, together. No separation, no conflict, just presence. You may also begin to feel a quiet tenderness, a natural kindness toward this part of the body. Not something you create, but something that arises when you truly listen. This tenderness is part of awareness itself. It does not judge. It does not reject. It simply includes. Let this feeling spread gently from the area you are noticing to the rest of the body. A soft warmth, not intense, not overwhelming, just enough to be felt, like sunlight at dawn. As this warmth spreads, the body may begin to soften further. Muscles release. Breath deepens naturally, not because you are making it happen, but because the conditions allow it. Stay with this unfolding. There is no need to rush. Everything is happening in its own time. You may notice that the sensation you are focusing on is no longer the same. It may have shifted. It may have reduced. It may have moved to another place. Or it may still be present. All of these are natural. The important thing is not the outcome. It is the seeing, the direct knowing that everything is changing. Nothing is fixed, not even discomfort. This is how understanding deepens, not through ideas, but through observation. Again and again, you see change. Again and again, you see that nothing stays the same. And slowly, the mind begins to trust this. It begins to let go, because there is nothing solid to hold on to. As this trust grows, a deeper relaxation becomes possible, not just in the body, but in the whole way of being. You no longer need to control every experience. You no longer need to resist what is uncomfortable. You begin to allow. And in allowing, there is peace. A quiet peace, not dependent on everything being perfect, but arising from the absence of resistance. Stay with this peace for a few breaths. Let it settle. Let it be simple. Breathing in, breathing out. Sensation changing, awareness knowing. Nothing more is needed. And as you remain here, you may begin to notice that the sense of I around the experience is becoming softer, less defined. There is sensation, there is awareness, but no clear boundary between them, no solid center controlling it all. Just a continuous flow. Experience unfolding, awareness knowing, together. This can feel very light, very open, as if the usual weight of holding everything together is no longer necessary. You can simply be here, present, aware, allowing. And in this allowing, something very natural begins to happen. The body continues to adjust. The mind continues to settle. Not because you are directing it, but because it is the nature of things to move toward balance when they are not disturbed. Trust this process. You do not need to guide it precisely. You only need to stay present. And as you stay, you will continue to see. Everything is changing, moment by moment. Nothing remains as it was. And in seeing this clearly, the need to hold on begins to fade. What is there to hold when everything is already moving? This question does not need an answer. It is seen directly. And in that seeing, there is a quiet freedom. A freedom that does not come from controlling life, but from allowing it, just as it is. And when this is seen clearly, something begins to loosen inside. Not forced, not pushed, but naturally. The habit of holding starts to soften. You may notice how the mind wants to keep what feels pleasant, to hold on to calm, to stay with ease, and at the same time, it wants to push away what feels unpleasant, to avoid discomfort, to escape unease. This movement is very human, but look closely. Even the pleasant changes, even the calm fades. No season can stay. If you try to hold spring, it turns into summer. If you resist winter, it still arrives. Everything moves according to its own nature. Stay with this understanding gently. There is nothing to hold that will remain. There is nothing to push away that will not change. So the effort to control begins to feel unnecessary. Not because you give up, but because you see clearly. See how each breath changes, deep, then shallow, slow, then slightly faster. See how the body feels different from moment to moment. Light, then heavy. Open, then tight. See how the mind moves. Quiet, then busy. Clear, then clouded. All of it is like weather, passing through. You are not the weather. You are the space in which the weather appears. Just as the sky does not become the storm, you do not become the passing states. They arise within you. They move through you. They leave. Nothing stays long enough to define you. This can be felt directly, not as an idea, but as a quiet recognition. And in this recognition, something relaxes deeply. The need to secure a perfect state begins to dissolve. You no longer need to keep calm from disappearing. You no longer need to fear discomfort when it appears, because both are temporary. Both belong to the natural flow. Stay with this for a few breaths. Let each experience come and go. No need to follow. No need to stop. Just observe. Like watching the seasons change, without interfering, without rushing. You may begin to feel a quiet balance, not based on controlling experience, but based on understanding it. This balance is not fragile. It does not depend on everything being the way you want. It comes from seeing that everything changes anyway. So there is nothing to hold tightly. And when the grip softens, there is less tension, less struggle, more space. You may notice that the body feels lighter, The breath feels easier, not because something has been fixed, but because something has been released. The need to fix. Stay with that feeling. Simple. Open. Let the breath move naturally. Let the body rest as it is. Let the mind continue its changing patterns. All of it is allowed. All of it is included. And within this allowing, there is a quiet freedom. A freedom that does not come from controlling life, but from not needing to control it. This freedom is very light. It does not announce itself. It is felt in the absence of tension, in the absence of grasping, in the absence of resistance. You may notice that even the sense of I begins to feel different, less solid, more like a process, changing like everything else. Thoughts about yourself come and go. Feelings about yourself come and go. There is no fixed identity behind them, just movement, just experience unfolding, and awareness knowing it. Nothing to defend, nothing to protect, because nothing is fixed enough to be held. This can bring a deep sense of ease. You do not need to maintain a constant version of yourself. You are allowed to change, just like the seasons, just like the breath, just like every experience you are noticing now. Stay here gently. Let this understanding settle without effort. No need to think about it too much. Just feel it. Feel the constant change. Feel the openness around it. And rest in that openness. Because when nothing is held tightly, there is nothing to lose. And when there is nothing to lose, there is a quiet peace. A peace that does not depend on any particular season. A peace that remains, even as everything else changes. And the breath, too, can be felt in the same way. Not as something separate, not as something special, just another movement, a shifting pattern within the field of sensation. There is a gentle expansion, then a soft release. No need to call it in or out, just movement, rising, falling, appearing, disappearing. The breath is not fixed. It is not a single thing. It changes from moment to moment, sometimes deep, sometimes shallow, sometimes clear, sometimes barely noticeable. All of it belongs. Let the breath be just as it is. No need to follow closely. No need to stay with it. If it is noticed, it is noticed. If it fades into the background, that is also fine. Everything is part of the same flow. The body is sensation. The breath is movement. And both are changing, constantly. There is no solid center inside this, no fixed point where everything is held together. Just a continuous unfolding. Stay with this gently. Let attention rest wherever it naturally goes. A sound may appear. A sensation may become more vivid. A thought may form. All of these are part of the same field. Nothing stands apart. Nothing is outside. You may begin to notice that the idea of a boundary becomes less clear. Where does the body end and the rest of experience begin? A sound is heard. Is it inside or outside? A sensation appears. Is it yours or just happening? These questions do not need answers. They begin to dissolve on their own, because the experience is direct. There is only what is appearing, without labels, without separation. Stay here, simple, open, sensation changing, movement unfolding, awareness knowing. No need to organize this. No need to understand it. Just let it be. As you continue, you may notice that even the sense of body becomes less solid. What was once felt as a structure becomes a field of sensations, appearing in different places, changing in intensity. Nothing fixed, nothing permanent. And this can bring a quiet insight. What you once called body is not a solid object. It is a process, a flow, always changing, just like the breath, just like thoughts, just like emotions. Everything is part of this movement. Nothing stands still. Let this be felt directly, not as a concept, but as a lived experience, moment by moment. Change, subtle, continuous. There is no need to hold on to any part of it, because it cannot be held. Even if you try, it moves. Even if you focus, it shifts. This is the nature of experience, unstable, unfixed. And in seeing this, something begins to release, the tendency to solidify, the habit of making things into something permanent. It softens, because it is no longer supported by direct experience. Everything you feel is already changing. There is nothing stable enough to build a fixed identity upon. And so the sense of I and this body begins to loosen. Not as an idea, but as a quiet recognition. There is sensation. There is awareness, but no solid owner of it all, just happening. Stay with this gently. No need to go deeper. No need to reach for anything. This is already enough. Sensation arising. Sensation passing. Breath moving. Breath fading. Awareness knowing. All within the same open field. You may notice a lightness here, a sense that there is less to carry, less to define, because nothing needs to be fixed in place. Everything is allowed to move. This is not something you create. It is something you notice. The natural state of experience. Unheld unheld, unfixed, free in its own way. As you remain here, let everything continue as it is. No need to interfere. No need to adjust. Just this simple knowing. And within this knowing, the sense of separation continues to soften. Less boundary, less division, more continuity, more openness. Not something you achieve, but something that becomes clear when nothing is held tightly. Stay here for a few more moments. Let the body be just sensation. Let the breath be just movement. Let everything be part of the same unfolding. And rest as the quiet awareness that knows it. And thoughts are the same. They appear on their own. A word arises. An image forms. A memory comes into view. No need to invite them. No need to create them. They simply happen. Stay with this gently. Watch how a thought begins, without warning, without effort. And then, after a moment, it fades, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but always changing. No thought stays. Even the ones that feel important begin to dissolve. Just like the breath, appearing, disappearing. There is no one inside making each thought happen. No clear controller behind it. Just a movement, a mental event, rising and falling. Let this be seen directly, not through analysis, but through quiet observation. A thought appears. It is known. It passes. Another appears. It is known. It passes. This continues on its own. No need to interfere. No need to stop the thoughts. No need to follow them. Just let them come and go, like clouds drifting through the sky, uninvited, uncontrolled. If a thought pulls attention, notice that too. The moment of being carried away. And then, gently, the knowing returns. Not because you forced it, but because awareness is already here. Thoughts happen within awareness. They are not outside of it. They do not disturb it in the way they seem to. Just as the sky is not harmed by the clouds, awareness is not changed by thoughts. Stay with this sense of space. Thoughts appearing within it and dissolving within it. Nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing needs to be improved. Everything is already moving according to its nature. The breath moves. The body senses. The mind thinks. All without a fixed controller. All without a central doer. This can feel very light, as if something has been released. The pressure to manage everything begins to soften. You do not need to create each breath. You do not need to create each thought. They are already happening, and you are simply aware. This awareness is quiet. It does not interfere. It does not control. It simply knows. Stay here gently. Let the breath continue. Let thoughts continue. No need to change their rhythm. No need to make them better. Just notice their nature. Changing, unstable, unowned. And within this noticing, something becomes clearer. There is no fixed self behind these movements. No solid identity that is thinking or breathing in a permanent way. Only processes, only events, unfolding moment by moment. This is not something to believe. It is something to see, directly, simply, without effort. And as this seeing deepens, the sense of separation begins to soften. Less division between me and what is happening. More openness, more continuity. Experience happening, awareness knowing, together. No center to hold it all, no edge to define it, just this flow. Simple, natural. Let yourself rest in that. And emotions move in the same way. They arise, they stay for a while, they pass. A feeling of tension may appear, a wave of sadness, a quiet joy. No need to name it, no need to understand it. Just feel it as it is. Notice how it begins, often softly, sometimes suddenly. Then it grows, changes shape, moves through the body. And after some time, it fades. No emotion remains unchanged. Even strong feelings begin to soften. Even heavy states begin to dissolve. Stay close to this movement, not to control it, but to see it clearly. You may notice that an emotion is not one solid thing. It is a collection of sensations, a tightness here, a warmth there, a shifting energy, all moving, all changing. What once felt overwhelming becomes something that can be observed, something that can be allowed. There is no need to push it away. There is no need to hold onto it. It is already on its way, appearing, disappearing, just like thoughts, just like the breath. This is the nature of experience. Nothing stays. And because nothing stays, nothing needs to be controlled so tightly. Let the emotion be present if it is here. Let it move as it moves. Let it fade when it fades. You are not required to do anything. Just to be aware. And in this awareness, something begins to shift. The feeling is no longer you. It is something that is happening. A passing state, not a fixed identity. You may feel sadness, but you are not sadness. You may feel fear, but you are not fear. These are experiences, not definitions, not something permanent. Stay with this gently. Let emotions come and go, like waves, like clouds, like passing weather, and remain as the quiet space that knows them. And when this is seen, something quietly releases. Not forced, not dramatic, just a gentle loosening. The feeling is still there. The sensation is still present, but it is lighter because it is no longer being held as mine. Notice how the body responds. Less contraction, less tension, more space, more ease. The experience continues, but without the extra weight of ownership. A sensation arises. It is known. It changes. No need to claim it. A thought appears. It is seen. It fades. No need to hold it. An emotion moves through. It is felt. It dissolves. No need to become it. Everything continues as before, but the relationship is different. There is less grasping, less resistance, more allowing. You may begin to feel that life is simply unfolding, moment by moment, without a central owner directing it all. Breath is happening. Sensation is happening. Thinking is happening. All on their own. And awareness is quietly knowing. No need to control. No need to define. Just this unfolding. Stay with this gently. Let each experience come and go, without adding mine, without adding me. Just experience. Simple. Changing. And in this simplicity, there is a quiet freedom. Nothing to protect. Nothing to defend. Because there is no fixed center being threatened. Only movement. Only change. And as this becomes clearer, the mind rests more easily, not because everything is perfect, but because nothing needs to be owned. And in this absence of effort, something very quiet begins to reveal itself, not created, not invited, just already here. There is no need to make the mind calm, no need to make the body relaxed. If calm is here, it is known. If restlessness is here, it is also known. Both are allowed. Stay with this openness. Nothing is preferred. Nothing is rejected. Experience unfolds on its own. A sensation appears. A thought moves through. A feeling rises. All without your control. And because of this, nothing needs to be managed so tightly. Let everything be exactly as it is. No adjustment, no correction. Just a quiet allowing. You may begin to notice that when there is no interference, things settle in their own way. Not always into calm, but into balance, a natural balance. Like water becoming still when it is not disturbed. Like the air clearing when there is no wind. This stillness is not forced. It appears when nothing is added. Stay here gently. If a pleasant feeling arises, let it be. No need to hold it. If it fades, let it fade. No need to bring it back. If discomfort appears, let it be there. No need to remove it. No need to turn away. Everything is included. Everything belongs. And within this inclusiveness, there is a quiet space. A space that is not created by effort. A space that is revealed when nothing is pushed or pulled. Rest in that space. Simple. Open. No center to maintain. No state to protect. Just this natural presence. Awareness knowing whatever arises. without choosing, without interfering. As you remain here, you may begin to feel a deeper sense of ease, not because everything is pleasant, but because nothing is being resisted. This ease is very gentle, almost unnoticed, but it is steady. It does not depend on conditions. It is here even when the mind is active, even when the body is not completely at ease, because it comes from not interfering, from allowing life to move as it does. Stay with this understanding. There is nothing you need to add to this moment. Nothing you need to remove. Everything is already unfolding naturally. And in this natural unfolding, there is a quiet openness. An openness that does not belong to anyone. An openness that is simply here. Unfixed. Unowned. And within this openness, there is space for everything to appear and disappear without leaving a trace. And in this open space, things are no longer divided so clearly. Sound is simply heard. Sensation is simply felt. Thought is simply known. No need to place them into separate categories. They arise together. They move together within the same field of awareness. You may begin to notice that there is no clear edge between what you call inside and outside. A sound appears. It is known in the same way as a sensation. A thought arises. It is known in the same way as a sound. All of it is simply appearing. No boundary is needed. Stay with this gently. Let everything be included. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Nothing needs to be brought closer. Everything is already here. And within this openness, there is no center that everything revolves around. no fixed point that holds experience together. Just a continuous unfolding, experience happening, awareness knowing, together. No separation. No need to define where one ends and the other begins. This can feel very simple, very natural, as if something has always been this way, but was not clearly seen before. You may notice a quiet ease in not needing to organize experience, not needing to decide what matters more. Everything is allowed to be equal. Everything is allowed to come and go freely. And in this freedom, there is a softness, a gentle openness. Nothing is held tightly. Nothing is excluded. Just this seamless flow, unfixed, unbounded, and quietly known. And when there is no center, nothing needs to be held together, no point to defend, no position to maintain. Experience continues to unfold. Sounds arise, sensations shift, thoughts move through, all within this open field, without belonging to anyone. Stay with this gently. See how everything appears on its own, not coming from a center, not returning to a center, just appearing and disappearing. You may begin to notice that the sense of I is also something that appears, a thought of me, a feeling of I am here. It comes, it stays for a moment, it fades. Just like everything else, it is not constant, it is not fixed, it is part of the same movement. Let this be seen clearly, not as an idea, but as something directly observed. The sense of self is also changing, sometimes strong, sometimes barely there, sometimes absent altogether, and yet experience continues. Breath continues. Sensation continues. Awareness continues, without needing a fixed center. This can feel very light, as if something has been released. The need to define who you are in each moment begins to soften. There is no fixed identity that must be carried, only changing expressions, only passing forms. Stay here for a few breaths. Let everything be exactly as it is. No need to organize. No need to locate a center. Just this open field, unbounded, without edges. Everything arises within it. Everything fades within it. Nothing is outside of it. And because there is no center, there is nothing to cling to, no place to attach. Grasping loses its ground. There is nothing solid enough to hold. And so, the holding begins to dissolve on its own, not through effort, but through seeing. Seeing that everything is changing. Seeing that nothing is fixed. As this becomes clearer, the body may feel softer. The mind may feel quieter. Not because something was forced, but because nothing is being held tightly. Stay with this softness. Simple, open. Let experience continue to move and remain as the quiet knowing of it, without center, without boundary, just this living flow. And in this quiet freedom, nothing needs to be added, nothing needs to be taken away. Just this simple presence, breathing happening, sensation appearing, thoughts passing through, all within the same open space. There is no need to hold on to this moment, because it cannot be held. There is no need to let go of this moment, because it is already changing. Everything is moving on its own. Stay with this gently. Let the body rest as it is. Let the breath move as it does. Let the mind be exactly as it appears. No correction, no improvement. Just a quiet allowing. You may begin to notice that this ease is not something new. It has always been here, hidden beneath effort, hidden beneath trying. Now, without effort, it becomes clear. There is nothing you need to become to feel this. Nothing you need to achieve. It is already present when nothing is being grasped. Stay here for a few breaths. Let this understanding settle softly, not as an idea, but as a felt sense, a quiet knowing. Life is unfolding on its own. You do not need to control each moment. You do not need to hold everything together. There is a natural order, a natural movement. Breath follows breath. Sensation follows sensation. Thought follows thought. And awareness knows it all. Without effort, without strain. This knowing does not belong to anyone. It is not owned. It is not personal. It is simply here. Clear, open, unchanging in the midst of change. And within this, there is nothing to protect. No fixed self that needs to be defended. Only changing experience. Only life expressing itself. This can bring a deep sense of peace. A peace that is not fragile. A peace that does not depend on conditions being perfect. Because it comes from not holding anything tightly. Stay with that peace. Let it be quiet. Let it be simple. No need to describe it. No need to hold on to it. If it fades, that is also part of the flow. Nothing needs to remain. As this practice gently comes to an end, there is no need to leave this space behind. It does not belong to a special time. It is available in every moment, in each breath, in each step, in each simple act of being. You can return to this seeing at any time, not by effort, but by remembering to not interfere, to allow, to notice, to be. And even when life becomes busy again, this openness is not lost. It remains, quietly, unnoticed at times, but always here, just as it is now. So for this moment, rest. Nothing to carry forward, nothing to leave behind. Just this simple presence, alive, changing, unheld, and within it, a quiet freedom, already here.